Hello, my name is Kiriath, and today we are going to have a little chat about this upcoming Saturday, so June the 13th, where we will hopefully find out, well I say hopefully, we will, according to Warhammer Community, find out exactly
what's in the box!
Now you may be thinking to yourself, did you record this video purely to use that clip from 7? Is that why you did that? And I will be totally honest with you, partially yes. Not 100% of the reason, but I mean, come on. Great film, and also awful at the same time. So, on the 13th of June, we'll be able to catch the next Warhammer preview online. And as they say, last month they revealed the new edition of Warhammer 40,000, and this time we have something else amazing for you, the upcoming box set. We'll be lifting the lid and showing off the awesome models and more that launch box contains, so make sure that you join us from 2 PM BST. We think this is the best Warhammer 40,000 box set that we've ever made, so don't miss it. They also point out that they're going to be taking a look at rules for vehicles, monstrous creatures, blast weapons and terrain, and War of the Spider during this particular week, leading up to that June the 13th reveal. Now, we have already talked about the potential contents of that box. We've gone through the Necron side of things, the Primaris side of things, which I will put images on the screen so you can see it. And to be honest, I'm not... When I say that I think I agree with it being potentially, should this be what it actually is, if it is this, then I think I would agree with it being the best Warhammer 40,000 box set that they've ever made. Now, I'm not saying that purely as a buy-in to the hype, but in terms of... I don't know, in terms of just the contents that are there, or the potential content right now, because of course this could be not exactly what's in there. If it is this, there's some interesting stuff in there. There's a nice variety of brand new models. There's a nice variety of completely new stuff, especially for the Necrons. I cannot help but be very excited for the fact that there's so much new Necron stuff going on. There's also, I think, a significant change to the Necrons in terms of what we're seeing from them now. We've got some of the weird back, which is nice to see. The flayed ones, for instance, and the destroyers, both kind of weird. They are weird subsections of Necron lore and Necron story and Necron units. The new stuff that we're seeing for Necrons really seems to be leaning heavily on the cosmic horror kind of undead robot vibe as opposed to the Egyptians in space made of metal vibe. At least when I see those big, tall, gangly, spindly, like quadrupod dudes. Everyone keeps calling them tripods, and it's bugging me. I don't want to be that guy. I hate being that guy. I don't like it. But every time I see a picture of... I'm talking specifically, not the Scorpec destroyers. Those are tripods. They have 3 legs. I'm talking the big, tall, spindly dudes. The guy with the weird neck that seems to be able to look everywhere, and then with the massive gun over his back. Those two are referred to as tripods more than anything else that we've seen for the Necrons, and they both have 4 legs, and it bugs the hell out of me. Anyway, the overall aesthetic for the Necrons seems to have shifted a little bit. Now, of course, we still have things like the Immortals and the Lich Guard and Death Marks and all that stuff, and we still have Tomb Blades, but things like... Well, the green rods are gone for a start. The warriors have gone from I'd say a robot skeleton vibe to more of a decaying and breaking down robot skeleton vibe. Now, of course, whether you specifically like that particular shift is a totally subjective thing, but for me, I don't know, it's bringing more of the weird, creepy, scary back to the Necrons, which seem to have shifted, in my opinion at least, more towards the Tomb Kings in space sort of aesthetic. If we have already got a good idea of what's in this box, then I would honestly say that it might well be the best box set. All the Primaris stuff looks really good, and it addresses glaring gaps in the Primaris lineup, so in the context of that side of the box looks really awesome. And in the context of the Necrons, it's new Necrons. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say all Xenos players should be happy because Necrons have received new things. Of course, if you are playing anything that isn't Necrons but is Xenos, there's no reason to be massively celebrating because you don't still have anything new. But the fact that the Necrons are getting such a vast range refresh that is something that just fills me with hope and happiness that perhaps we might see similar things for the other Xenos races in the future. And to me, it kind of makes up for the fact that, yes, we did see new aspect warriors for the Eldar, and we did see the Dark Eldar get some love as well, but there are still vast parts of those ranges that are resin and not plastic, and are now looking particularly dated. Necron's getting such a big refresh does give me a little bit of hope for the other factions as well. Now, I don't know whether we will actually see the price for this on Saturday. In fact, I suspect we probably won't. I would imagine that is something that is going to be shown off later on. It'll be closer to the pre-order date. I mean, typically, from what we see from Games Workshop, they will show off all the cool new stuff, all the amazing models, and then you will have to wait some considerable time, either for a leak or for them to outright tell you, this is how much this costs. The cost for this box has been put at around 120 quid. That is what the kind of information that we've been going on says, and that is more. That is more than I'd like. Again, it's a very arbitrary distinction between £95 being expensive but not too expensive, and 120 quid being too expensive. Like, it's a weird distinction, and I'm aware that there are many people who don't share that distinction, but for me it's like, that feels doable for someone new to the hobby. That does not feel doable for someone new to the hobby. Although realistically, if you're getting involved in 40k, the chances are you know full well how much your bank account and your wallet is going to suffer at the hands of the plastic crack. So, is it a massive issue? I don't know necessarily, but it'll be interesting to find out when that eventually does get shown off. Although, as I say, I don't know that we're going to see that actually on Saturday. Something that I am hoping that we might see is something a bit beyond just the box. Now, they've said we'll be lifting the lid and showing off the awesome models and more that the launch box contains. What I really want to see is a bit more information on the other Necron stuff that we've been shown. I mean, if this is the kind of reset, if this is the point where Necrons become, they are shoved into the spotlight, they are put at the forefront of the narrative for 40k, I would hope that we would not have quite as much of a staggered release as we saw with the Sisters of Battle. I mean, the Sisters of Battle had a complete range refresh, which was awesome, but at the same time, it took a long time for us to actually have all of those kits, with what I would say was an unacceptable gap between the initial release of the army and all of the kits being available. It's all very well kind of going, okay, well, we're going to stagger it so it's not all in one go, but on the other hand, you're just making it so that people can't buy the units they want to buy, and the stuff that was previously available to fill those slots are no longer available because you've taken them down because the whole range has had a refresh. I don't want to see that with Necrons. I would much prefer that they do a more sensible, more condensed release because, well, who wants to wait for, 3 or 4 months to get a new monolith when you've already got the beginnings of a sizable Necron force from the starter set? That's garbage. I don't want to see that. I want them to see them actually release this stuff in a timely manner. In terms of what's actually in the box, I would expect that to be some sort of timed release. Like, you'll be able to get it from the box, but it'll be a while before you can get it separately. We've already seen that happen with just so much other stuff. I mean, if we look at the way that some of the Orc stuff was released when they had the new vehicles, there was some stuff that you could not get outside of a boxed game that, let's be honest, no one fucking played. They just wanted the models. I don't want to see a repeat of that because much though it might make sense from a business perspective for Gaming Workshop, it makes no sense if you are just trying to collect an army. It is actively preventing you from getting the bits you need. I mean, a good example recently is the fact that we did the second part of the Space Marines range review last week. Suppressors still don't seem to be available separately. I've searched the site for them. They are not there. You either get them in the Vanguard Start Collecting Kit or you don't get them. That's garbage. Do not do that. Let people actually collect the armies they want to collect without weird strings attached that make it either too expensive or not viable at all. And in a similar vein, don't spread releases out months and months after the army has technically been refreshed. You are not doing anything other than getting on people's nerves in that respect. I would hope that we do have a bit more information about the new Necron stuff. I mean, the new Primaris stuff I'm assuming will be box exclusive for a while, but there is so much outside of that box if what we've seen so far turns out to be the true content for the Necrons, that withholding it for ages, don't do it. Just don't do it. Simple as that, really. I'm looking forward to it. I am actually looking forward to it. I have, I guess, concerns. I have little kind of like, please don't do that. Again, sort of ideas about what they might show off and the way they might approach it. But at the end of the day, the potential contents for that box are decent. And I'm kind of hoping that that is confirmed as being the actual thing that we see. Even if it's just missing a couple of bits out of what we've already seen, I think I'd be okay with that. But a big part of the kind of potential expanded price of this is relying on all of that stuff being present. If it's not, that's not great. We'll just have to wait and see. But luckily, we don't have to wait all that long. And in the meantime, we can just get on with painting our Necron forces, because I know I'm not the only one who was like, oh my god, new stuff. I mean, even before it was a case of Necron's guaranteed to be the big bad, so to speak, in ninth. Just the Silent King returning was enough to get me to buy 2 boxes of Immortals and to kit bash a Destroyer Lord. So I'm imagining a lot of you will be in exactly the same position. But yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. We will, of course, cover it on the day. We'll find out what's happened, and we will talk about it after the fact. So yeah, let me know your best guesses, your ideas for what we might see, whether you think that what we've already seen is indeed the content, or whether you think it'll be something smaller, what else we could see in the box, and whether you think it's going to be some sort of timed, delayed release with specific sculpts being restricted to that box. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments down below. In the meantime, feel free to click all the things, Patreon, video, subscribe, all that stuff. Click it if you like. Don't click it if you don't want to, obviously. And as always, there's an affiliate link in the description for Element Games, which is a nice way to support the channel if you would like. I leave it completely up to you. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.